Are you being ripped off and you probably don't even know it? Stay tuned, you want to hear this. Okay, we're going to talk about something very, very important. A lot of consumers don't even know about this until it's too late. And it's about the wax that is being used on tiles by the manufacturers. Let me tell you a little background story of what happens. So a manufacturer produces a tile, and let's just say in this case it's a glazed tile. And what happens is that they have to apply the glaze and then they polish it. And the degree in which they polish this glaze, this enamel glaze that goes on it, determines how much pores are going to be present in that glaze. And that's an important factor, because if there are an existence of small pores, these are very tiny microscopic pores, you will not see it by the naked eye. But when the installer goes to grout it, then when you start to see a discoloration, so you start to notice, if you especially have a very light tile, you start to notice that it changed color in some ways, a very slight shade, but it could happen. And that's the risk that you're taking when you're not polishing those tiles all the way through. And this happens a lot of times with cheap tiles. And I'm sad to say that they come from, they're not coming from manufacturers that are reputable, they're coming from no-name kind of manufacturers. And they're very cheap tiles. They could be porcelain tiles, it doesn't matter. Cheap in terms of their manufacturing process. So what they do is that they polish it to about, let's say, 60%. Why? They're going to save money. One, on the production process, but also on probably their polishing pads, whatever you can think of. They're saving money in terms of the production of these tiles. So they'll still, but a good manufacturer, a well-reputed manufacturer, will polish these to about 90%. And so it removes all these little pores that might be existing on the enamel, on the glaze, and you'll have a tile that's a very good tile. You never have to worry about this problem with the grout happening. It's worse than the grout, because over time that tile might stay there. The pores start to absorb dirt, absorb any kind of water, all these things that carry chemicals and stuff, and that gets into that glaze, and that's when the problems start to occur. Okay, and you start to see a sort of a fading effect happening. So what do these guys do? And this is, you need to really be concerned about this. What they do is they apply a type of wax, and it's meant for tile, and they apply this wax on their sort of 60% polished tile that exists, these pores. And their argument is that it protects the tile from during transportation from any scratches, and it's kind of like, let's say, a wax on a car. It protects it, and you can say fair enough. But what they're really doing is they're trying to fill those pores with sort of a temporary kind of fix. It's like a wax that will wear off eventually, but as the consumer, when you purchase it, you can't even tell. It's extremely hard to tell. You have to first of all shine in a certain direction, and what you notice is sort of haze in some areas, and so that haze can give it away. Or there's another way to test it, is you put water on it, and if the water beads, you start to notice that yes, there's a wax on this, but it's not a very reliable test again. Most of the time, unfortunately, how you discover there's a wax is the tile's installed, everything's good, now you start grouting it. And as the grout dries, after it's all done, everything, you see this haze, that it doesn't go away. It doesn't matter how many times you wash this tile, it doesn't go away. And basically what's happening is that the wax and the grout are combining, and you're seeing the color of that grout being transferred into that wax, and you start to see that haze for that reason. So you don't see that perfect polished finish that you want to see with the finished product. And what happens? Who gets blamed here? It gets you start to think, oh, the tile installer didn't wash it properly, or this and this and that. but it's never their fault. They're doing the same thing they would have done, but the problem is at the source, from the manufacturer that delivered a product like this. Another problem with this wax that is applied is that it can be in the manufacturing process. When it's applied, it can sometimes slip to the side of the tile. So when you go in to put the grout in, the grout does not stay in. It basically repels everything, right? So it repels water, but it repels it, so the grout starts to come out, and so you don't get a perfect bond between the tile and the grout as a result of that. And that's another problem that starts to occur. So what do you do in this situation? If you have seen yourself in this situation and you're like, man, what do I do? The only way you can fix it is to get some kind of a grout release formula, and they're out there. You can find them at your local tile shop, and or what sometimes they call a haze remover. And you apply this following the manufacturer's directions, and what it does, it removes the basically that wax that's on the tile, and basically exposes the natural, or what the polished finish is supposed to be. There's other products out there. For instance, like Mapei has one by it's called the Ultra Color Abrasive Surface Cleaner. I'm not promoting it. This is just another product on the market that's available, so that's another thing that you can do. The thing that you really need to understand when you're purchasing, especially like glazed porcelain tile, is that when you go for something that is cheap, these are the problems that you're gonna face. There's a reason these products are a lot cheaper than something you might get from Italy that is a lot more expensive. As you're looking at closer to about $8 or to $10 a square foot, versus a porcelain tile that's like $3 a square foot. Why is it $3 a square foot? There's a reason for all these things, and this is what you're going to face. And so think about it: thousands of dollars spent on tile, thousands of dollars might spend for the installation, and then at the end you don't get what you wanted, and it doesn't last. Even if you remove that wax that's on it, and you get that nice look that you're like, okay, oh man, that was close, glad we did that. What's going to happen in about 6 months? The pores are still there. The dirt is still going to affect the tile, and then you start to see problems. You start to see the fading effect happening. You start to see that all this energy and time and you in renovation and everything, and then you start to. So don't get caught in this mistake and think that oh man, I got away with such a nice deal on these porcelain tiles. All tiles are the same. You really have to look at purchasing tiles from reputable manufacturers, and not just a tile shop. Like for instance, for us, I make sure that I'm sourcing out who is the supplier for the tiles before I make a purchase. I don't want the customer at the end getting a bad product. And I hope all retail shops that are out there are also paying attention to this and making sure that they're not purchasing things and they're getting ripped off and getting a bad reputation as a result of it. So I hope you learned a lot from this with regards to this problem that they do with wax, to try to band-aid solution to something that they cheaped out on early on in the manufacturing process. And I hope this doesn't become a problem for you. And if it does, well, that's one of the solutions. You can at least do it to alleviate it. Probably be something that an installer would probably take as an advice in terms of how to fix this. But at the end of the day, damage was already done at the manufacturer level. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching this video. My goal is to help all Canadians learn about tile and tile installations, so everyone can benefit from all this information that's available to us. So if you like this information, please show your support and hit that subscribe button and the like button, and we'll see you in the next video.